Canada, America, Spain, China, Brazil, Mexico, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago.
Welcome back. All tied up at 11 with about 11 and a half minutes to go in the tip-off marathon presented by Dish. Wichita State is coming up, and you get a chance to look at Fred Van Vliet. This is the latest Dish, brought to you by Dish.
Tell you what, Fred Van Vliet, probably the most dynamic point guard in college basketball today. Consummate leader. And when you take a look at his numbers right there, the things that he was doing for a team that went undefeated until they lost to Kentucky in the tournament. You know, I think as good as that team was, no one did them a favor by having that matchup with Kentucky.
That's being kind.
Yeah.
That's being kind. They probably never should have seen Kentucky until they got near the Final Four. But that's part of our tip-off marathon, as they'll face Memphis next. Utah and San Diego State will follow, and then the Champions Classic. Pretty good defensive battle here. Both teams really energized.
Yeah, but despite South Carolina getting after Baylor defensively, we see a lot of action. Baylor's still 4 of 8 from the field and offensive rebounds. That's the second one for Baylor. Making some sense for them to continue to hit the glass.
Yeah, Jonathan Motley, very quick off his feet to get that.
We talked about Jonathan Motley getting a great deal of experience playing against Corey Jefferson and Isaiah Austin from last year. And, you know, this is a guy that has definitely shown some promise. And he said he added 20 pounds of muscle, getting in the weight room. And for both of these teams, both coaches recognize that going in the weight room, getting bigger and stronger, not only increases the physical presence of these guys, but also mentally, it just makes you feel better about yourself.
Well, there's something I haven't seen in a while. Something wrong with that net. It's a little bit discombobulated. One of the loops looks like it's not attached to the rim. There it is.
But yeah, I mean, guys get in the weight room and they feel good about themselves. They like to see themselves in the mirror, and when they get out there and start competing, the fact that they can bounce people off of them, move people around, gives you a great deal of confidence in your game.
When you get stronger like that and you add those 20 pounds, do you ever concern about it taking away some of your speed?
I don't think so. Muscle is correlative with power, and power is strength and speed put together. You know, if it takes away your speed, you've overbulked, but I think that's the right size for Motley.
Stroman to Johnson. Steele with a face-up look, rattles out. Knocked around, that'll belong to Baylor.
Well, it's pretty good hustle by Demetrius Henry. You know, a guy that led this team in scoring for the first time in his career in their game against North Florida. And he's a guy that Frank Martin is counting on to provide some of that inside and perimeter presence.
They're not going to have a lot of success with that drive at Medford and Cherry trying to take it coast to coast and get to the hole. The defense and the help has been extremely strong for Frank Martin's squad.
Well, you got two guys that are under 6 feet tall. You know, Medford listed at 5'10" and Cherry at 5'11".
Nice job by Motley to get that on the iron.
That's where they should be going once again, you know, when the opportunity presents itself. And as I mentioned before, the inside-out game always creates some positive opportunities. Medford, again, playing with a great deal of confidence. Nice move. The ball fake and underneath. And it really opens up driving lanes at some point in time because you're playing the big guys tighter and you're not willing to help as much off the bounce.
Ferraro. get a lot of rebounding out of him.
Yeah, Carrera's in the right spot. He's got to be able to handle the ball against that zone. That was the sweet spot.
Fourth turnover. Cherry's shot, no good. Strong rebound underneath by Stroman. Carrera looks up, rattles it off the back iron. Baylor comes out of it. Cherry to Medford.
And once again, another trip down where Kaichin is at 6'11", doesn't really even touch the ball. And that's where the struggles come in. I'm sorry, Hakevicius doesn't even touch the ball.
Another foul on the perimeter.
We talked about how important this young man is, Tyrone Johnson. You know, 2 of 3 from the field. He's trying to distribute the ball, get others to touch it, but 1 of 9, as I mentioned, most of it from the perimeter, hardly any of it from the bigs, and 1 of 7 from beyond the arc. 7 of those shots, you know, just creating a difficult offensive situation for South Carolina rather than play inside out.
A little lane violation. No. We had another foul, actually. Quite gathers.
The guy as big and strong as Rico Gathers, man, when you're fouled, you know you're fouled. He is a specimen in the middle.
Drive into the teeth of the defense. Well, Lenny, we're going to be lucky enough to be up at Madison Square Garden. Vic Vitale will join us as well as the 2K Classic invades Manhattan, and some pretty good basketball to be played there.
Yeah, Texas is one of those teams you got to take a look at. Return all 5 starters in the addition of the phenom Turner. I mean, this could be an interesting year for Rick Barnes, in a year where last year people were calling for his job. This year he seems to have it all put together. It's a question whether those young guys can mature, but they're going to be tough. And Iowa's always going to be strong. Aaron McCaffrey's guys, very mature, understand how to play the game.
Carrera's the one who got his mitts on that one. You know, they're going to give it to Hakevicius. Cherry now drives in, finger roll, won't go. And Hakevicius gets the rebound.
See, if your big fellas are working for you, it's time to give them an opportunity. You want your horses to work, you got to feed them. But Hakevicius also has to be more aggressive in taking position.
Stroman with the drive. He has 7. Thornwell, rather. Now the defense being turned up by South Carolina. Fourth time we've been tied. Up, and the offensive illegal screen set by Deng Deng. That's his 2nd foul.
Well, we talked about it right here. Here's Hakevicius right up top being guarded inside. Ball swings. He doesn't make himself available. He's more willing to stand behind his man. And prior to that particular play, he had an opportunity to post up. And that was something that Frank Martin really got on him about in practice yesterday, to back in, get a guy on his back, and be really aggressive. And in order for his teammates to trust him, he has got to demand the ball. And right now he hasn't been able to do that. And at 6'11", he's got some skill. He just has to be able to exercise that aggressiveness. Just like that right there. He's got to ask for it and be even more demanding.
Johnson's 3 no good. Chase down. Terrific job underneath by Stroman to get that ball. Johnson, little finger roll as he drove in. Carrera tipped again. Nice job on the glass, but they come up empty.
Well, I'll tell you what, at 6'5", Carrera is a warrior underneath. Undersized, but no lack of aggression.
Thornwell had to chase that ball down. Spins. Tough circle shot. That's good.
And it got the fans glad they skipped work to come to this game.
Timeouts got through. Welcome back to the tip-off marathon presented by Dish. South Carolina, a little run line.
Yes, and Darius Thornwell, we talked about him as a scorer for a team that struggles to score, and a nice move right there. Reverse right here, elevate, stayed in the air until he made a decision to let it go. And he and Brian Steele celebrate.
Thornwell with 5 of their 7 points in this 7-0 run.
South Carolina back in the 2-3 zone. Forcing Baylor to start thinking about it, reposition himself. Alley-oop.
Oh, lobs the dang, and they have to foul him. Well, that would have been a easy dunk, but a hard foul. We'll shoot when we come back. All right, Carl, thanks a lot. I'll get to you in a moment when we're done here. And some of the storylines from our tip-off marathon, but Florida losing.
Well, Billy Donovan warned us that 8th ranking, I should say, for Florida, a little bit too high. You know, they were shorthanded, but take nothing away from Miami and Angel Rodriguez. And you look at Stanford, that made news, no question about it, snapping UConn women's 47-game win streak. It's just an amazing, amazing beginning of the season right now. As we said, things can turn upside down rather quickly.
Saw Gino Auriemma after the game. You would have thought that that loss was in the NCAA tournament. He looked like he was devastated and telling his team they better get better.
Well, when you get used to winning like that, you know, that's part of the program.
You never lose, right?
That's right. You don't want to. There's no question about it. And you can't accept it because you don't have any practice in accepting losing.
What is this?
Also looking at Gonzaga and SMU. I mentioned Marcus Kennedy not playing for SMU, but Gonzaga, Kyle Wiltshire, Kentucky transfer, double figures. And Kevin Pangos was knocking him dead from beyond the arc.
Kevin Pangos from, where's he from?
Oh, another Canadian.
You might hear that a few times. So, I mean, we got a couple playing in this game as well.
Which is okay, man.
Ooh, Dang didn't know what to do. Finds Cherry, who's from Montreal.
Dang, nice move.
Oh, and switches hands, but doesn't finish it. But that was a nice job to switch hands.
Yeah, he's quick. He's long, athletic. Oh, he's got that one too. It was a good drive.
Johnson.
Yeah, Tyrone Johnson picking his spots right now. 3 of 6 from the field. But doing a nice job of finding the driving lanes, particularly in transition.
Freeman pulls up from 3, no good.
Take a look in transition, once again, getting Baylor defenders back on their heels. And as they continue to retreat, he just takes up the room, takes what the defense gives him. And a nice job there.
Well, the ball still belongs to Baylor. Cherry into Wainwright, comes right back to the ball.
South Carolina doing a nice job of closing on the ball, making the shots more difficult. And when the ball goes inside, gets in the paint, they seem to want to surround it and force the kick out against this zone.
Dang puts it on the floor. Back outside, Cherry lines up a 3, off the mark. And bumping underneath after the rebound, foul goes against Baylor.
For Kenny Cherry, an offer thus far. We talked about his leadership. This is his team, but he can't find the connection right now. And Dang with his 3rd foul. This is pretty big for Baylor right now. This guy has been one of the most, if not the most active offensive players for the Bears. And they're going to have to find somebody with that same level of activity, keep the pressure up against the South Carolina defense.
Into that bonus, sending Carrera to the line. It's the largest lead that South Carolina's had in the game, 3. Baylor's led throughout this one early.
I talked about Michael Carrera and his rebounding prowess. You know, a guy in his career averaging 20 minutes a game, averages almost 3 offensive rebounds a game. And that's how I measure real rebounders. I mean, defensive rebounding statistically is easy to get, particularly the way people are shooting free throws these days. But the real rebounding chore is offensive rebounding, where you got to fight for position, hold a position, fight through blockouts. Right now, Carrera's got 2 offensive rebounds in this game thus far.
Well, the way you played, you would know about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. That's how I had to make my living.
I was going to say, you grabbed a few offensive rebounds in your day. Freeman thinks about a 3. And most of the looks that Baylor is getting in on the perimeter.
Yeah, it's been really hard against this defense to kick it inside, or for the guy who receives inside.
Shot clock at 2. That ball's going to end up belonging to Baylor just by pure accident. Notice went after the ball and hit the deck coming up with it. But a great job defensively by South Carolina. Baylor hasn't had a field goal in about 6 minutes.
Yeah, every time the ball goes inside, the guy who receives is having a difficult time finding any room to maneuver. And he's forced to kick it back outside. And as you just mentioned, shot clock going down. Baylor forced it to the jump shot. So look at the surround right there, although Carrera fouls. That's a bailout.
It looks though, not only are they having difficulty when they get the ball inside, they're also having trouble getting it inside.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure on the ball handler, everything that you want out of a defense right now is being executed by South Carolina in their zone. They're contesting the passes by playing up tight against the ball handler. The ball goes inside, they're surrounding. They're just making it very difficult for Baylor. Baylor's got to find ways to get quick passes inside, kick it back outside, move the zone from side to side so they can find some seams and some gaps to drive.
Jonathan Motley now with 9 points. He had 10 in their opener. He's going to become a reliable guy to get some scoring out of this year. You said sitting out all of last season, gets stronger. Down to Carrera. He's quickly double teamed. Nice job to get it back out. Thornwell puts it on the floor, drives into the paint. One and done, is spinning out of there. Cherry. Medford's going to go to the line.
Many times the forced shot, the bad shot, leads to the opponent's fast break. And that time, Sindarius Thornwell, not a great decision. You know, on the drive right here, just throws it up there instead of gathering himself. A little pirouette by Motley leads to the fast break.
They're making their free throws. 10 of their points there. With it was 11 now, but 5 of 18 from the field. So when they're getting opportunities at the stripe, they're at least knocking them down, and it's keeping them tied up right now at 22.
And both teams shooting free throws extremely well.
Herrera is battling in the paint. He's getting pushed a little bit further away. Deep three is buried by Tyrone Johnson.
And yesterday at practice, Johnson was filling it up from beyond the arc as well as he is today. And I'm sure he's very excited to be playing basketball now with that foot injury. Missed 18 games last year, the last 18 games of the season.
Terrific drive along the baseline.
Royce O'Neal coming through.
Ooh. Don't foul a jump shooter, right?
Absolutely not.
Frank Martin's squad is working extremely hard. Of course, Frank's working extremely hard too, but that's no surprise. He's got a 1-point lead.
So put them hands up higher. Let's smash this party up. This is the blast off. Time to blow this up. So best you run for cover. We about to hit self-destruct.
All right, Carl, thanks a lot. We will see you then. Right now, Kenny Cherry, 0 points, and those 5 field goals, most of them come on drives, so he's really struggling.
Yeah, and to take a look on the other hand, South Carolina's guards making the most of their opportunity out there. And Frank Martin has to be pleased, particularly with Tyrone Johnson coming back. But, you know, when I talk to Frank, I always tell him how much I admire his approach to this game. Yeah, he may look like he can be out of his mind with some of his guys sometimes. That comes from being 15 years as a high school coach. You develop a different perspective, you know, whereas in college you're developing your players and you need to win. In high school, you got to develop all your players. You know, prepare kids for college, not just for winning games. And here, I guess in college, he's preparing guys to keep jobs, knowing that he doesn't have a whole lot of pros coming through his program at this point in time. And the way he gets on guys, it's life lessons more than anything else. And I really appreciate that. More that's necessary in college basketball.
He cares. And,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
that is evident in the way he coaches and the way he is around his kids.
You know, he'll get in their face,
Oh,
but
yeah.
also give them a hug.
Well, there aren't too many coaches who won't get in their players' face occasionally.
But there's very few, it seems, that'll turn around and give him a hug the next time around when it's deserved.
The battle down in the post was a little bit too strong. And Hikevich is. There's 3 second in the lane. Neal. Bounce pass down low, and great job by Motley to finish.
Royce O'Neal, another experienced senior out there trying to create and keep guys' hands full and with opportunity, something that Baylor hasn't had a whole lot of in this game.
Johnson's 3 off the mark.
And yet there's still only 1 point down. Now they've got the lead.
Cherry. He's going to keep taking it to the hoop. And timeout is going to be called by South Carolina. Frank Martin wants to make a couple of changes out there.
Yeah, the high percentage opportunities, you know, have been few and far between for Baylor. But here's one that's created. Nice job with the pass inside by Royce O'Neal off of the penetration. And Kenny Cherry getting on track. That's his game right there. Despite the relatively diminutive size, he's not afraid to venture inside among the trees.
We got a 1-point game in the tip-off marathon presented by Dish. Continues next. Number 11, Wichita State against the Memphis Tigers in Wichita State. There are obviously some key losses to that team from a year ago, but because they have Fred Van Vliet back, the guy who ran the show, I think they got a good chance of being, again, one of the best teams in the country.
Well, they still have a great nucleus. Van Vliet, Rod Baker, and Takeo Cotton. You know, those guys were instrumental in that great season that Wichita State had last year. But, you know, Memphis lost an awful lot, too. They had 4 terrific guards that are gone right now. And that up-tempo kind of play that Josh Pastner likes to play, it's going to be tested.
Went deep into the shot clock before coming up empty. O'Neal. Good ball handler out there. Hands it off to Cherry.
And again, that South Carolina defense tightened up, you know, and it's really allowed them to get within 1 point here. The lead has gone back and forth. But it's been the defense of South Carolina in the last several minutes that's made the difference.
Both trips for both teams last time down the floor, deep into the shot clock before shots were launched. I don't think either coach got what they wanted out of those possessions. Good job defensively. Thornwell swings it around the perimeter.
Good patience, getting the ball in short corner, creating pressure.
Carrera in, and that's going to be a charge.
That's amazing. Did everything right, but Michael Carrera decided to bull his way in. Actually, some guys turned down some nice open jump shots. Right there, nice dish right there. And nah, boy. The defender is allowed to move laterally, allowed to move backwards, but you're not allowed to move into the shooter. And I think that's what happened right there. And Michael Carrera, unfortunately, on the short end of a missed call.
If he moved in with his chin, right? Close to getting an elbow there. So
you don't get any medals for that, though, John. You're moving in, you're going to get a foul.
You get something you'll remember.
Should, right.
Final 5 seconds. Cherry, O'Neal. Turnaround shot by Motley is good at the buzzer as Baylor ends on a 6-0 run to go to the locker room with a 3-point lead.
Well, Motley got himself positioned nicely for that turnaround jump shot. You know, good opportunity right here. You see the ball at the top. Motley wide open. And Motley gets his crew happy.
Oh, very good. I like that. Six ties, 4 lead changes, and a 3-point halftime game. Right now, let's go to the Mazda halftime report to Carl Ravitch and Carol Lawson. You're watching ESPN's college basketball coverage of the College Hoops Tip-Off Marathon. Baylor against South Carolina from Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in our action. You're watching ESPN's college basketball coverage of the College Hoops Tip-Off Marathon. Baylor versus South Carolina from Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina. ESPN College Basketball is available live anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone at watchespn.com and with the Watch ESPN app. We'll return after these messages. You're watching ESPN's college basketball coverage of the College Hoops Tip-Off Marathon. Baylor versus South Carolina from Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina. ESPN College Basketball is available live anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone at watchespn.com and with the Watch ESPN app. More action after this.
You're watching ESPN's Tip-Off Marathon, presented by Dish. You're watching ESPN's Tip-Off Marathon, presented by Dish.
Welcome back to Columbia, South Carolina. This is the SEC on ESPN as the hometown Gamecocks have a halftime deficit, 30-27. Baylor with a 7-0 run to end the first half. John Saunders alongside of Len Elmore. We saw some great defense really turned up at both ends of the floor.
Yeah, the defense is working, particularly for South Carolina, as they overcame a deficit to get into this ball game. But two guys have really stepped up for each team, and they're on opposite sides of the class spectrum. For South Carolina, it's the senior, Tyrone Johnson, who's done a terrific job, 4 of 8 from the field, aggressive to the basket, 10 points. And for Baylor, redshirt freshman Jonathan Motley has done an excellent job, 4 of 5 from the field. He's got 13 points, perfect from the line. And when you talk about Baylor, they wanted to know where the numbers were coming from after losing the big guys. 26 of their 30 points have come from the newcomers. So those newcomers have stepped up.
Well, both coaches told us before the game that they're not really sure what to expect this early in the season. I particularly asked Scott Drew whether his team was ahead offensively or defensively at this point. He kind of chuckled. I'm not really sure.
But one thing he did say, he says, regardless of the outcome of this game, they're going to improve.
O'Neal, great drive and controlled that ball with both hands before getting it up on the iron.
And by that, Scott Drew meant that more experience is going to come for his newcomers, his transfers, his red shirts, and his freshmen.
Ball on the floor, and that's dangerous.
Nice look inside. Turned what could have been a disastrous turnover into a nice feed and points in the paint. Thornwell's got to slow down a little bit.
O'Neal runs into 3 members of the Gamecocks. Motley, no good. Strong rebound by Thornwell.
Motley's just his second miss from the field, 4 of 6 now. But you got to like his aggressiveness Redshirt freshman, only his second game he's played.
Carrera strong underneath.
And that's what I talked about, South Carolina trusting their bigs inside. Again, not so much reliance on the perimeter shot. You get the ball inside, their bigs are aggressive, asking for it. You give them an opportunity that's going to create even greater opportunities for the perimeter guys down the road.
Sherry trying to lose Johnson, but he's glued to his hip. Motley sets a nice screen, though. Cherry tries to take advantage and does, rattles it down.
And that's the Kenny Cherry Scott Drew expects. That's the Kenny Cherry that comes with that reputation of being aggressive, but also being the kind of guy that you can go to in need situations.
Notice comes up short, and Cherry goes with it.
Good idea, flatten out, didn't have the number.
Spin into a double team. Notice forces a turnover, and then Motley commits the foul.
Oh, you take a look at Kenny Cherry using the screen nicely. Good job by Motley right there. Then the little step back, Carrera too late. And on that last foul, the problem was Cherry picked up his dribble, got surrounded by bigger guys. Cherry, as I said, 5'11" is what he's listed at. And once South Carolina trapped him with the bigger players, it was hard for him to see over.
Tough shot bouncing away, but Thornwell gets it to drop. I think he was looking for maybe a whistle on the contact. And he wound up making the shot anyway. Cherry into the paint, and he gets fouled. Carrera said he had all ball, but looked like it was on the wrist.
Well, Sedarius Thornwell, good ball movement right there, penetration. And then he likes that shot where he just tosses it up with one hand. In the first half, he threw one up that was ill-advised and turned into a Baylor fast break. But if you can get it up on the rim softly and it goes in, you don't have to worry about that. On this one, though, Carrera tried to contest that shot, but you can't foul a jump shooter. I don't care where he is. And Kenny Cherry is one of those guys that's forcing the issue right now.
Well, that's going to hurt Frank Martin to send Carrera to the bench because he hits the glass harder than anybody's got out there. That means Kachinas is going to have to pick up his game.
Now see Kachinas right away steps in the paint and tries to post up Motley. Got to post up strong. His teammates he's asking for. His teammates have to trust him.
Not when you're hitting outside shots like Thornwell right now. He has 14.
You're right about that, as long as it's going good. But sometimes you live by the jumper and you go down the drain by the jumper. You got to diversify.
You got to move them around as well, and moving it into the paint makes a difference. Motley's shot rattles out. O'Neal goes after the rebound. Cherry now into a double team, shoots over it and knocks in a three. Then Cherry got the people back on their hands very quickly. Notice into Kachinas.
Kachinas has got to look at the basket now. He gets it inside. Nobody around him, and he kicks it back out.
Oh, ahead of the pack. The Baylor Bears are off and running now as Prince throws it down.
Oh, I thought Prince could have kissed it off the backboard, but I guess he decided to flush it.
Thornwell's shot no good, and this is a little bit of a danger right now. In South Carolina, it looks like they're shooting a little too quickly.
Well, it's the running game that's getting Baylor out front, and they keep pushing the ball up the floor. Mishandled, but nevertheless, the alley-oop. And Waller Prince with the flush.
20 minutes, bro.
Let's go,
We're
y'all.
fine.
Yeah.
We're fine, but you got to play, man.
Let's go, y'all. Let's go. Let's go, man. We're right there.
Well, Carl and Kara, I bet they were out of their seats when they saw that one, because I know I was.
I tell you what, man, in utilizing the athleticism, Steve Masiello comes up with a big play. Rick Pitino protege. It'll be a big win for them. You take a look at Baylor. Will the newcomers scale a learning curve? Well, I'd say so far, as they've provided the bulk of the scoring and the balance that they've had. When you take a look at their numbers, you know, they've got just one guy in double figures right now. But that can certainly change. And Motley and Prince, the impact inside. We know Jonathan Motley has gotten it done, and we just had a chance to see Prince with his athleticism. So some of the questions are in progress of being answered, so to speak.
There's a lot of brilliance on that Manhattan bench that I think is helping that squad.
You're referring to the director of basketball operations. My son Steven just joined Steve Masiello's group, so he'll probably try and take credit for a little bit of that play. I doubt it.
He's working hard, we know that. Cherry gets hit with the foul. Trying to break a 7-0 Baylor run. Had an 8-0 run that was stopped, and South Carolina climbed back within one again, and now Baylor goes on a 7-zip run.
Well, Henry's showing a bit of a sign of life right now after leading the team in scoring in their first game against North Florida. He's been relatively invisible in this particular game. Certainly the 2 fouls in the first half didn't help.
Back in the hands of Medford.
Those are his first 2 points.
Oh, Medford. Boy, he's another little guy.
Not afraid. He's
No.
not afraid to challenge the big fellas.
Gets that ball high off the glass.
You know, guys like that, you really have to get down deep and not allow them to turn the corner, because they create havoc if they do.
Just, you know, a lot of little guy play, and Tyrone Johnson at 12 points now, just a little jump step.
You know, the defense, John, is not bad. It's just this better offense right now. As guys are making tough plays, the defenders are in good position contesting. You see, notice right there, nice job of not allowing Medford to turn the corner.
And Cherry buries at 3.
But that's, you know, pick your poison right there.
And Cherry's got 9 points this half. Had just 2 in the first half. So he is hot. And a timeout. South Carolina is Frank Martin has to avoid this one getting away. Largest lead for Baylor. State Farm Champions Classic tonight, 7. You get a look at some of the great programs in all of college basketball, and it's the coming out party once again for the second consecutive year. You take a look at these guys.
Yeah,
top 100.
Yeah, 5 first-year guys out of that ESPN top 100, and one. Just look at Okafor on the left. Not only picked as an All-American first team, but also Player of the Year. And I'm trying to figure out when was the last time a freshman was picked as Player of the Year and actually won it. And no one seems to be able to come up with an answer yet, so I'm still waiting. But
picked and won it.
And won it. All right. I think that's a lot of pressure to be putting on a freshman, although he says that there's no more pressure than he puts on himself. And he's an outstanding player, no question about it.
Blocking foul goes against Medford. That's his third.
Tough loss right now at this stage of the game when Baylor's offense is working really well. Medford has been right there in the middle of it.
Medford to the bench, so that slows them down a little bit. And third foul on Motley as well. China's calling for the ball down low. There he gets it now. Can't get it to drop. Rebounded by South Carolina. Shot out of the baseline by Henry is good.
Demetrius Henry awakening. As we mentioned before, led the team in scoring in their first game. 12 points against North Florida.
China's with that rebound, and Motley picked up his 4th foul. He went over the back.
That's another blow. First you get Medford on the bench on the perimeter, and now you get Motley, the guy who's doing most of the damage inside for Baylor. They've got to find a way. Take a look at the drive right here, surrounded, and Kaichenis with a nice rebound. Motley just can't believe that he created a foul.
Now patience offensively. Henry turns around, flat shot. Hits the rebound.
Here, Baylor in their 2-3 with a lot of emphasis on covering the postman. Right there at the sweet spot, the free throw line. And that bothered Henry.
Kaichenis can't get that one. Both big guys down there, their shots a little bit flat.
And you see right there, the freshman Stroman giving Kaichenis a little bit of a boost right there, telling him to keep shooting. You like to see that. You like guys to encourage him. But as I mentioned, the trust has to be there. Kaichenis not doing a lot right now to ensure that trust.
Oh, what a defensive play by Henry.
And how about the hustle? Gathers, gets that blocked on one end, hustles back and gets the rebound. I mean, he sprinted the length of the floor. And that rebound is very important as it leads to an opportunity. Nice shot by Prince.
Now an 8-point lead. And where's the offense coming right now for South Carolina? Kaichenis can't hang on to the pass inside.
And therein lies the lack of trust. Kaichenis gets open. They get him the ball, and he can't hang on to it. They get him a shot on the baseline. He can't knock it down. You know, guys continue to try to support him, but it's hard to pass it to him. Nice job.
Johnson to protect the basketball and get it up on the glass. 14 points now for Tyrone Johnson.
And we couldn't have foreshadowed it any better at the beginning of the telecast. What a difference the senior point guard makes for this South Carolina team.
Prince lob over the top.
Tyrone Johnson, again, so important for South Carolina in the middle of an awful lot of the scoring, trying to bring them back.
Welcome back. We got a pretty good one here in Columbia, South Carolina, as the hometown Gamecocks trying to fight back against the Baylor Bears.
And trying to fight that hunger, too, at lunchtime. But you look at Scott Drew. This is a guy who has brought this program back from the scandal and where they all literally were melting as a basketball program. Look what he's done in the postseason, that kind of success. And yeah, over the last 3 years, he's had 5 NBA draft picks, but you know, that's all part of the game, the recruiting. Bringing his program back to prominence has been important for him here in his 12th year, but even more important is the fact that he says he's going to have fun coaching this year. This team is picked to finish 6th. With the newcomers that they have, you know, a lot of people just don't believe that they can kind of duplicate the success he's had over these years. And this is when it becomes fun coaching. And, you know, I would not be betting against Scott Drew.
Well, and the fact that he also throws a couple of junior college players in that mix. He was saying to me they're a lot more prepared than the high school kids and they're men, basically. You know, they're guys a couple years out of high school. Shot from the outside by Tyrone Johnson as he continues to be hot. 17, gets it to a 5-point game.
But to your point, though, junior college is one thing. You know, Division I is another.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
He's starting to find out, though, that those guys are well prepared, as you mentioned, that they're able to contribute.
Boy, Kenny Cherry comes right back and buries that shot. So,
well, Kenny Cherry's recognizing the battle. The senior, he's got Tyrone Johnson on the other side, the senior. You know, he's not going to be upstage.
So Frank Martin, Ikevich is on the floor now. Another big man, so he's hoping he can get some sort of service, somebody up front on the front line to give him some minutes and some points. Tyrone Johnson, his second foul. We're in the 19th hour of the tip-off marathon. How many hours have you been around for it? I imagine you've seen all of it, right?
Yeah, sure.
You've seen all those games. You were up for the early ones, and I know I was. I got in late, so I was up for some of those early ones. Cherry.
That's seen enough to be dangerous.
Heathers hands it off to Cherry. Pulls up with a jumper. No good. Oh, great job by O'Neal to go after the rebound. Bounce it off Carrera.
That's that experience, senior experience. Royce O'Neal, a hustler. Again, first player in Baylor history with 200+ rebounds and 100+ assists. He's kind of what you call a glue guy. Helps everybody else be better.
Cherry out of the corner. Thought he got bumped. Now Stroman.
Good decision by the freshman point guard Stroman. Get it to your hot hand, and Tyrone Johnson.
Into the middle, and finally they got a big guy to look at the bucket. Hikevichus will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean, that's half the battle. Between Kaichinas, Hikevichus, you know, a little bit inside to Demetrius Henry. These guys have to take a look at the basket, make themselves threats so that the defense will honor them. You know, 2 field goal attempts, and he's had his hands on more balls. And again, even looking at the basket and being aggressive will provide an opportunity for the perimeter guys to trust you, and they'll go back to you even more. But if you get the ball point blank range and you kick it back outside, you don't even look at the basket, the guys are saying, well, why should I even give it to you?
And on the other end, if you're down there and they don't give it to you, you get upset. So it's kind of
you don't work hard after that. You're frustrated.
Right. Yeah, the team's pretty hot from the free throw line this early in the season.
And that's good to see, because that's a fundamental aspect of this game that I think has been lost. Everybody's so focused on the athleticism, the little things, the fundamental things, you know, kind of get obscured.
You're good at what you work at, right?
Absolutely.
Medford thought about a 3. Draws the defense. A little bit of a dance in the corner there.
Shot clock to 2.
Oh, my goodness, and Medford rattles it down.
Medford back on the floor and presents problems. Just picked up where he left off when he had to sit at the bench picking up his 3rd foul.
Down to the baseline. Henry's shot is flat again and rattles out.
Well, Lester Medford, that's one of those junior college transfers you just spoke of that Scott Drew understands, is very well prepared, very mature, understands how to play the game, comes in ready.
2 times a junior college All-American for Lester Medford. Stroman with it, wants to enter it to Carrera.
Demetrius Henry in that short corner continue to stand ready, looking for a ball. Frank Martin riding the official and finally got the call.
Wainwright second.
He's got to be careful now.
Shooting already.
You get the call, you don't want to go too far now. And reverse your fortunes and get a tech. But he's still selling it.
Well, he's just saying, you know, shouldn't take me so long to get your attention. Almost a turnover. Medford bails them out.
You know, that defense at 2-3 zones extended a little bit, but now they've kind of packed it back in.
Shot on the outside. Won't go for Freeman. And now some offense. There's a little bit of a drought going right now for South Carolina. And right on the mark, Stroman buries a 3.
Freshman feeling it.
Scott Drew says, I can't afford to let this big lead get away too quickly.
I like the way Stroman stepped up, saw himself open, no hesitation. And that's what you want in your freshman point guard. Get a good ball movement right there. And he just steps into that shot, did not hesitate, didn't look around. That's what you call being ready.
And Marcus Stroman is a local product. So you know he grew up likely a fan of the Gamecocks, and chance to play in front of your home crowd and family and such.
And Frank Martin has called him the consummate point guard. You know, he's a pass-first kind of guy, understands the strategy. But to be an effective point guard, you have to be an offensive threat. Otherwise, teams are going to play 5-on-4 if you're not looking at the basket. And Stroman will keep the defenses honest, as he did this then.
Medford in that corner on the baseline. Wainwright at the top of the lane. That's going to be an offensive foul almost every time. O'Neal just looked out of control. That was an easy call for the official. We'll see how Lenny thinks when we come back.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Dish. Only the Hopper from Dish gives you the power to watch all your live and recorded TV anywhere. And TD Ameritrade.
Welcome back. John Saunders and Len Elmore. The Baylor Bears with a 5-point lead. And Kenny Cherry, the product out of Montreal. Big reason why.
Montreal, second half. C'est magnifique. As he shot 4 of 6. And it's really heated up offensively. Just what Baylor needed to vault them out to this lead. After shooting 1 of 7 in the first half. And you can't keep a good man down.
Well, you know he's not going to stop shooting, right?
He shouldn't. We talked about being a threat as a point guard. You know, he and Medford are sharing, you know, the ball handling duties. But as long as they continue to be threats out there, South Carolina cannot relax on the perimeter. And that makes it easier for guys like Motley, particularly, to get the ball inside and score. Defensively, though, they can be pests if you give them an opportunity. Right now, they're packed below the three-point line, daring South Carolina to take a three.
Johnson into the paint. Little teardrop, good.
And instead of falling for the trap and taking a long three, as South Carolina is 5 of 17 from beyond the arc, Tyrone Johnson, as a senior, beats the gap and gets inside and gets a higher percentage shot.
Now applying more pressure to the basketball.
See, that's what you can't do. You're going to leave him open when you triple team. I'd send one guy to help out on Motley, but I would never fall off of Medford.
Cherry and Medford in both corners are going to give you all kinds of problems. Notice Johnson, a little too deep. And then the foul on Carrera.
And this is what I'm talking about. Here, right here, you got Medford wide open in the corner. And look at all of the guys that are surrounding the ball handler. No one thinks that a Medford is wide open on that side, and he will burn you every time. I'm sorry, Cherry. Will burn you every time, as he is really heated up here in the second half.
Yeah, the compound things, they had Medford and Cherry on both on the same side of the floor too, which,
and plus one is 11 and one is number 1, and so when the jersey is folded, couldn't tell.
Confusing South Carolina players is what I was talking about.
Yeah, but I'm easier to confuse than they are.
Shot clock goes under 10. Cherry's got to get a closer look. Oh, great job to get Henry in the air and then just abuse him.
And again, Henry at 6'9" doesn't need to leave his feet in contesting that shot. You know, Demetrius Henry, he doesn't need to leave his feet against a 5'11" guy. That's lack of defensive discipline. But it was a good head fake.
They want to see if it's a three-point shot.
No, that's a 3.
Well,
oh, right there, the right foot. Well, when he finally released the ball, his foot did touch the line. Yeah. He was in good shape prior to that, apparently. Oh, boy, that's close. There it is.
There it is, right there.
That's a 2. Gets 2 free throws. But once again, Demetrius Henry, a sophomore, got to learn defensive discipline. And at 6'9" with that length, all he has to do is, you know, outstretch his arm, and it makes it a difficult shot for Cherry without fouling.
And I'm sure he knows that from the scouting report as well, that he's playing against 2 guards that are, as you say, 5'11" at best.
And knowing Frank Martin, if he didn't know it then, he knew, got an earful over there.
He won't make that mistake again today. With the young players, you never know how long they will remember everything, especially early in the season.
And once again, the question is whether or not when he went into the shooting action, where his foot was in order to award 2 or 3 free throws. And right there, right foot on the line as he made the attempt. So that should be 2 free throws. And you see the 2 fingers going up.
See Perry Clark there on the bench alongside of Frank Martin, one-time college basketball head coach as well. There's Perry.
Yeah, Perry's on their bench to provide that experience, you know, as a head coach. And, you know, the more the merrier. 2 heads are better than 1. As he's sitting right next to Frank, providing some insight. You know, that seasoning is invaluable. Turn and look at the basket.
Now, Kaitchenis does not
and he's got
show
to.
it all.
He's right there on the sweet spot of that zone. He's got the defender, Rico Gathers, backed off of him. It's an easy shot if you take it.
And then you start to get turnovers like that. You're thinking about passing into the middle, and he's not looking for it or not looking at the basket.
And again, this team shot 41% from the field last year.
Oh, what a great job by Motley.
And that's where that extra strength, that extra 20 pounds that he put on really helped. He bounced off the defender and still able to gather himself and put that shot in.
10-point lead. Part of that 7-0 run. It's the largest lead of the game. Baylor Bears trying to get back to another 20-win season.
Take a look right here in the corner. Nice speed from O'Neal, and Motley bounced off Kaitchenis. Kaitchenis just standing there, good defensive position. That's what I was saying. A lot of these plays, the defense is in excellent position. It's just better offense.
I know it's early in the season, but based on personnel, how good do you think this Baylor team can be?
You know, I think this team is going to be better than 6 in the Big 12. I just have that inkling. I mean, obviously, you know, you're going to have Texas and you're going to have Kansas battling out, I believe, first place. You've got, you know, teams that are possibly going to be able to come back. You've got Oklahoma State to a certain extent. I think Baylor is better maybe than right now what I've seen in Oklahoma and Oklahoma State.
Well, for fans of an old school 5 or new Big 3, 1-1, this is your game. Spurs and the Cavs, then the Lakers and the Rockets at 9:30. Tomorrow on ESPN. Both games also live and watch ESPN. The Cavaliers have to learn to play some defense.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, 7 games with 100+ points. You can see LeBron is hanging his head saying, you know, we got to play at both ends of the floor, guys.
Yeah, night in, night out. You're not outscoring people in the NBA. You take a look at upcoming games, Wichita State, Memphis. You know, that's going to be a terrific battle. You get a chance to see Fred VanVleet, a guy who's one of the front runners for Wendy's Wooden Award.
Gathers with a charge there. Again, when you see a big guy handling the ball, going into the paint, it almost doesn't matter what happens. It's going to be a charge.
But when you see this guy there, you got to give credit to Dwayne Notice for even stepping in the way. Gathers, as I mentioned, big fella, drops that shoulder. He's going to be a terrific tight end. He's going to be a terrific tight end in the NFL.
That's the new prototype, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Big guys who played basketball. Lob inside to Carrera. He gets fouled trying to get it over top of the iron. That's number 4 on Gathers and the 10th team foul. So we're into the double bonus, but South Carolina down by 10 cannot afford too many empty trips.
And they can't afford to just simply foul and let points come on the board without time elapsing. South Carolina, on the other hand, this is a team that needs to step out. They got the pressure now. They have to. You know, try to get Baylor to scramble, take some ill-advised shots. I guess they think it's a little too early. I don't. I think you got to go after them right now.
They're into their man defense and doubling the ball occasionally. Prince trapped in the corner. Oh, almost a good save and off and running. Great distribution of the ball, and Thornwell with the finish.
Well, that's the consummate point guard, Marcus Stroman, the freshman. He has a sense in running that break. He knew exactly where to go with it.
Medford almost trapped in the corner.
And there's a little bit of pressure right there. Baylor trying to throw over it.
And the foul is committed by Prince as he's diving for the loose ball. He tried for the lob into Motley, and Motley could not finish.
We take a look at the steal from Stroman, off and running. And then he takes the defender, finds Thornwell. And Carolina trying to make a comeback.
All right, Carl, thanks a lot. We're in the 19th hour of our marathon, and right now, Baylor is just trying to get across the finish line with a victory here on the road. 64-58 is the lead as Kenny Cherry has been on fire in the second half.
Yeah, he has. He's stepped up and really lived up to the expectation given us by Scott Drew. This is the guy in whose hands he wants the ball in critical situations, need situations. First half, he might have been slow, but the second half, he has certainly delivered. And let me go back. We were talking about the Big 12, and I apologize that this is early in the season now, and Iowa State is a team, I've got them in the next couple of weeks, that I've totally forgotten about, that certainly will figure in that top 5. And that's one of those teams that Baylor is going to have to compete against. In finishing, I think they'll be competing against who's going to finish in third place right now. But Baylor's got their hands full here on the road trying to hold on to this lead.
I didn't think you were forgetting anybody. I just thought you were talking about Baylor. You worried about those folks back in Iowa? And the mayor won't let you in town?
No, it was legit. It was legit. I neglected to talk about that. That's not using my beat.
Shot clock at 1. They beat it and stripped away after Motley had done a great job to get that rebound. Terrific follow underneath by Stroman.
Well, Motley, redshirt freshman, made the mistake leaving that ball out for grabs. And great hustle by Stroman. Look at the scramble defensively by South Carolina. That's the pressure I was talking about.
7-0 run right now. Carrera with the rebound.
And that pressure forces the scramble. Ill-advised shot by Kenny Cherry. That was a scramble shot, one that South Carolina loves for Baylor to take so they can cover the board and get back.
And when you start making one of these comebacks, you worry about losing your patience, but clearly South Carolina has not done that. Shot clock is under 10. Deep for Johnson, no good. And rebounded and out of there by Prince. Timeout, Scott Drew. That was pretty impressive, even though they didn't come out of there with points on that last trip. The fact that they did go in and run their game rather than rush.
Yeah, I mean, execution is foremost. And early in the season, when you can get teams to really execute, coaches can live with a miss here and there. Take a look, another quick scramble shot, and look at the big fella Motley held the ball out for grabs, and the hustle by Stroman on the follow. And you take a look right here. I think Baylor's got to find a way to run some time. 26 seconds on the shot clock. Run some time and get a good look or get fouled. And both teams are shooting free throws extremely well.
They got 26 on the shot clock. You want to use all of it or just get your best look?
You want to use it all till you get your best look. And that's what it comes down to. You don't want to get in a position where, there are 5 seconds left, and once again, you got to scramble. You have to have a plan for that, too, and I'm sure the plan is either spread the floor and get it in Cherry's hands or Medford's hands.
So the tip-off marathon continues. After we're done, Wichita State and Memphis. Wichita State, number 11, the team that went through their season in tournament undefeated before they ran into Kentucky in the NCAA tournament, and they don't want to talk about that in Wichita. A little bit of a... Kentucky might have been underseeded just a touch. Now, South Carolina coming with the defense, turning up the defensive pressure. Stroman on the ball. Cherry pulls it back out with the shot clock going under 10. Now he drives. Shot won't go. Tip back up and in by Motley.
Outstanding positioning by Motley, using that length. And you knew the ball was going to be in Cherry's hands. No. And you see Frank Martin, obviously fundamentals. It's all about blocking out. And allowing Cherry, that's why he was talking to Stroman more than anything, allowing Cherry to penetrate that deeply into the paint. That's the heart of the defense. And Stroman can't stop Cherry because he's behind him. You know, you can't allow him to turn the corner.
Nobody blocked Motley, though. I mean, basically, they would have come up empty if Motley hadn't got back up, get his fingers on the ball. Motley's been really active. Johnson and Stroman. Stroman drives. Oh, nice dump down to Carrera, who flushes it.
Both defenses being broken down here off the bounce and creating opportunities. And good idea. You know, with the shot clock under 35, you try for that first steal. Take a look right here. And that's what happened for Thornwell based upon last year when he was pressing the service as a point guard. You know, forced to make plays when he wasn't accustomed to it. That's the yield from that this
year. Now it's make and win the game. O'Neal has yet to miss from the free throw line, 5 of 5. Both teams have been very, very good at the arc today. This is a second, and Carrera gets the rebound. Stroman's got to go to work fast.
One timeout in South Carolina. They don't want to call it. They're trying to catch the defense.
Stroman from outside, no good. O'Neal, great rebound. And ahead of the pack, Prince.
You called it. The key to that whole play not only was the position of O'Neal, but the quick outlet pass. Made it really difficult for Carolina to come out and foul. Take a look right to rebound. Can't get to him and foul. And now you're forced to foul him in the act of shooting.
Hope that wasn't his head. Or thump against the side of the stanchion. Carrera looks okay. Fouled out of the game, but
we give Baylor credit coming into hostile territory. South Carolina able to get the fans back into this ball game. And that was fuel to allow them to close the gap. But Baylor held them off pretty well. I mean, not to say that the game is totally over, but 2-possession ball game, 8.3 seconds left. The deal is probably done. And that's a sign of a good team. The question marks about the newcomers, would they gel? You know, from where would the production come? And you got a significant participation by redshirt freshmen and transfers. I mean, Lester Medford was terrific, and so was Jonathan Motley. Still got a little bit of light there.
Yeah, Johnson lays it off the glass. 2.3 left.
And it was a little too easy. You know, anything can happen. 2.3. Baylor still got to inbound the ball.
At least make them take some time off the clock, right?
Exactly. Nobody got in front of the ball handler. Force him to kind of change direction and take some time off that clock. too easy, and they left the door open ever so slightly for South Carolina here defensively. And Frank Martin trying to pull out his best defense to create a steal.
These two teams played last year, and it was a 2-point win for Baylor in Waco. So Scott Drew did say before the game he expected it to be another close one, and as advertised. Hey, Coach Elmore, what are we doing at both ends, both benches? What do we got going?
Well, you got to match up, and to whomever the ball goes, you try for the steal, but immediately foul, and you got to run through the offensive player because maybe they won't call it. But you find a way to stop the clock if you can't get the steal.
Neal just trying to get it in play, does, and Cherry gets fouled right away.
And that's pretty much it. Last year, Cherry was an 88% free throw shooter, so you don't expect the lost opportunity on the line. South Carolina obviously out of timeouts, 1.3 seconds left. Oh, Hail Mary. And if Cherry hits both of these, game over.
You know, guys that run to the line, they're ready. Well, the other teams at their bench, you know, are good free throw shooters. Not just the 88% that you said, but he keeps that average in the final 5 minutes of the game.
Oh, man, didn't even draw iron.
And that'll do it. Baylor wants a timeout anyway.
2-possession game in 1.3. I guess you might as well use them up. You got them. Talk it over one more time.
There's the dreaded steal, toss it up, get fouled while you're doing, goes in, 4-point play. It could happen. Right?
How likely?
Not likely. Non-conference games for Baylor this season. Stephen F. Austin saw them against Northern Iowa today. Las Vegas Invitational, rather. Our tip-off marathon heads towards hour number 20.
The best you can do is look one pass, maybe to half court, and heave it up. There it is. That one bounce.
Scott Drew and Frank Martin just learned a little bit more about their teams today. 69-65 is the final. College Hoops Tip-Off Marathon continues. Wichita State, Memphis, John Shambi and Sean Farnham.